This game, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to begin Championship Sunday here at MLG Columbus for the 2011 Pro Circuit. If you are a fan of the red player EGIncontrol spawning in the southeast, let's give him some love here as he starts his very long journey through the championship brackets.
And it looks like, ooh, getting a little bit of mutual man respect on air. It looks like, oh, and if you do have a little bit of favoritism towards Dignitas Select, give a cheer for the man who has to make the hero's journey today.
Yeah, and speaking of that hero's journey, there is a past MLG event that we should reference today. Of course, Select had one series in MLG where he had to fight through the lower bracket, going through like 13, a ridiculous amount of games in order to make it to the absolute end. And you know, he's certainly got that stamina, he's got that endurance to be able to do it, and I'm very, very excited to see exactly how this is going to play out.
Interestingly, Select opting to build that second supply depot early to prevent EGIncontrol from being able to sneak in. The problem, though, is that so much minerals early on that it prevents you from getting a gas geyser. So that could actually potentially be too revealing for Select at this point in time. Either way, it looks like EGIncontrol is doing a usual gateway followed by an assimilator, so that way he can get a little bit of units, but mainly start teching right away.
Yeah, Select right now, I'm just you know, we've seen so many different styles out of Select, and because of that, can be a little bit of an unpredictable player. And I do believe, you know, a lot of people, we've talked about this before, Day, Select is kind of one of those players that people fear a little bit. Now, maybe not so much based off his results that we've seen here at the MLG competition, but there's no doubt about it that Select gets a lot of respect because of how solid his play actually is. He did say prior to this event that he wished he would have just had a little bit more time to prepare for it, but now, you know, you can wipe everything clean and just know that, you know what, if I bring my A game today, I can still win this championship.
EGIncontrol does have that first Zealot out chasing down that SCV Select. Uh-oh, loses focus on it for just a minute. So that means that he's going to have to recontrol that SCV, try to keep it alive. Very fast natural expansion by Select. And per usual, this is that flair that makes Select such a fun player to watch. He has very active units all game long, trying aggressively to track down this probe. Won't give him a big lead, but it will get a little bit of something.
We do have a Stalker coming out, a second Stalker on the way. The Zealot did make his way out, and now this Zealot-Stalker combo may just go do some poking around the map. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, these Marines from Select just kind of traversing the map, going all around. He's also got some SCVs doing some continual scouting here, and we will have another gateway going down for EGIncontrol, as he is going to get a sentry after that second Stalker. And Alvar on Select side, at his natural, we see the bunker going up, and the command center just now completing.
So Select is doing a very typical expand play. Players love doing that on this map due to the fact that this ramp secures everything. There's not even this destructible backdoor as was in the first iteration of this map. Select now throwing down both refineries. This will let him get the essential tech lab and that stim started. Select really cannot put any pressure on Protoss until he does have that stim. Sure, you can do some fanciness with Marauders, but still, it's a little bit too big of a delay. So EGIncontrol will take the opportunity to comfortably throw down a Nexus.
Here, first thing in the morning, first match out of the gate. We have seen some different play, some unorthodox play from EGIncontrol, if you will. Remember, he had the games versus Losira where he actually ended up doing the cannon rush, well, not really a cannon rush, but let's call it a cannon contain twice there. But I'm not surprised to see a more standard opening from both players right now. There are several racks down for Select. He's now getting his factory as he the tech lab completes. He has not started pumping out the upgrades. Just now we get stim started here, and he did put a second bunker at the top of his ramp. EGIncontrol now at least being somewhat mobile with his army, checking the front there, leaving a probe to gain his vision. And you know, in these horizontal positions, I do think it's so very important to control this tower. Having that vision can prepare you for any sort of attack that could be incoming.
Now, one thing to note though, Select is quite well secured. He built a second backup bunker. A lot of people like to joke that bunkers are free because you can salvage them to get a full resource return, but building 2 bunkers this early means you have that 200 minerals tied up, and you really would want to be spending all that getting more unit producing structures, additional barracks. But as we see, Select, instead of getting those extra barracks, is going to use this time to get 2 tech labs up. He's getting the combat shield, he's getting the stim upgrade, and getting a very fast starport so he can begin some medevac harass.
Yeah, which of course could give him the option of going for a heavy drop play as well. A lot of players like to use that on Shakuras. Getting into that back mineral line, a lot of room for those Marines to get in there, or the Marauders, to do some serious damage. And, you know, adding that second tech lab to the barracks so he can go ahead and get his bio of the reactor on the other barracks. Now we're going to have this swap here, double medevacs coming out of the reactor starport, and nothing out of the factory quite yet, as we just see Select just continuing to build his bio army. Now instantly a pretty standard response here by EGIncontrol. We do have the robotics bay going down for him, and another gateway as well, so you can expect the Colossus production to begin soon.
Now, EGIncontrol's doing a very smart play. He has a good read on his opponent. He saw that there were the 2 barracks filled with Marines and instantly knew it really had to be a bio transition that Select was making. Maybe tanks, but for the most part, just no big scary Banshee rush coming up. So that means EGIncontrol only building 1 observer that he's going to use to do spotting, and then going straight for the robotics facility, straight for that Colossus, and it looks like Select is going to sneak an expansion at the top left while he's moving out with this pressure.
I like this move right here. Obviously, with the observer following this bio army, he's going to be keeping a close eye on that, and he is keeping EGIncontrol busy with that observer, not letting him go and be idle and check around the map. You know, with Select being in the middle of the map, it's going to be hard for a probe to maybe go over there and find something like that. There's the scan to take out the observer. That, of course, means that another one has to be built, but the Colossus are coming out. Oh my gosh, the Colossus up there on the ramp. I thought it was going to actually step down, like, don't go into that territory. And now we're going to have a load up of 2 medevacs. One is going to go to the north and one is going to go to the south, and we could see a double attack here, a double drop from Select.
Now the thing to note, EGIncontrol's army is much stronger than Select's army. In the unit counting station, we see that, look at this, 2 Marauders and 4 Marines obviously cannot withstand this army that EGIncontrol has, or even this. But what we're going to try, or what Select is going to try to do, is try to put on a lot of pressure to drop at multiple locations at once, do any harassment damage that he can. And it looks like he's going to have to retreat, and at the same time he's trying to do a drop at the natural expansion. He's trying to do damage anywhere where he thinks EGIncontrol is weak, and as of yet, we see that Select has not really lost much of anything, just 1 SCV this game, whereas EGIncontrol is starting to have a little bit of damage dealt to him.
And you know, look what Select did here. We've got this 1 Marine, and you're like, where did this Marine come from? Well, he actually dropped off 1 Marine, stemmed it, shot him over to the side so that he could scout his opponent's base, and then he did the actual drop. So that Marine got some really good information, saw everything happening right there. And this base going up for Select, the 3rd in the northwest, it's going. We got Mules dropping down. He's putting down another refinery, while we see the 3rd going down for EGIncontrol just north of his natural.
But it looks like, uh-oh, these 2 medevacs, one does get taken out. Select desperately needs to keep these drop shifts alive, because Select, keep in mind, though this is technically a hidden expansion, Select is securing it with this counter-attack advantage. He's going to try to leave these medevacs planted around the map, keep EGIncontrol in defensive mode. He will protect himself in that fashion, and right now EGIncontrol is going to have a lot of trouble defending this 3rd base.
Select obviously getting his Vikings ready. He's got 6 out right now, and there's a drop at the 3rd base going down, and he could force a cancel on this expansion. Going to warp in a few more units over there, trying to get his entire army over there, and he is going to have to cancel that, as we will see the medevac load back up, and that medevac dangerously close, 20 hit points, and it manages to slip away.
It always must be a terrible feeling when you realize you've been drafted into Select's army. He's like, don't worry, trust me, just hop into that medevac. 20 health remaining. EGIncontrol trying to reposition these units, but Select continuing to just skirt the edges. Be careful though. Select fortunately has had the opportunity to build up a lot of Vikings, is getting the army mix that he really needs, and at the same time we see Ghost, a Mobius reactor, the energy upgrade for Ghost, also getting the extra engineering bay, and another snipe on this pylon. Looks like he'll get it before that Zealot ends up getting picked off, and 7 health. God, sucks to be in Select's army.
And it's going to still manage to get away as well. This time he's probably not going to be coming back for at least a little while. And he does save the third, which is good because Select did take out that probe right away, thinking if he got the cancel, of course, he then EGIncontrol would have to spend that extra time getting another probe up there to establish that expansion. However, EGIncontrol now having to focus a lot of attention here to make sure that this third goes up, and that will be beneficial to Select. Look at this medevac. I'm not done yet. 7 hit points. He's going to go to the far northeast corner and come back again, but as I mentioned, EGIncontrol is there. It seems like every single time he thinks it's safe to move back out, we see Select come back in. Whatever kind of crazy timing he's got going on in his head is working out quite nice.
And look at this on EGIncontrol's vision. We see that, he is going to spot this drop, but at the same time, nothing of EGIncontrol's is doing any spotting on the left of the map. EGIncontrol is playing completely in the dark. Some great damage being dealt by Select. It looks like he is going to just go ahead and sacrifice these units. Going to try to keep this medevac alive. EGIncontrol finally repelling that drop aggression.
And we do have the EGIncontrol's army at 1-1 right now, and as far as the upgrades go. For Select, we also have 1-1. Both players working on 2-2 right now, so keeping on par with one another with the upgrades. Of course, we've got EGIncontrol with the ability to chrono boost those forges, and you can actually see them working very hard there inside the base of his opponent. And so we've got more Vikings coming out here, and a very good Viking number here for Select. I think he's going to be absolutely ready for this engagement, even having some missile turrets there in the middle of the map. There is a scan to see where EGIncontrol is, and EGIncontrol is going to back off just a little bit. Not quite ready yet. You can see that Select is now hitting that 200 mark. He is nearly supply capped at 199 and is taking control of the middle map. Not to mention the fact that Select is taking a 4th and 5th base right now.
And this is what's so brilliant about Select's transitioning. This expansion is an orbital command. His 4th base is an orbital command. His aggression has allowed him to control the map. He hasn't had to waste time on planetaries, so he can both mule and use scan. Looks like he's spotted the spread of the Colossi. The Ghosts are starting to lead, and it looks like, some nice EMPs are going to get thrown off, completely blanketing that army. Almost everything of EGIncontrol's has had the shields removed. Select now trying to micro back. All the Colossus are taking a lot of damage. There goes down the final Colossus, and Select is going to advance in for the kill.
And you know what? That looked like a pretty good battle there for Select. He did manage to snipe a lot of those Colossus, and now EGIncontrol left with just a few Stalkers trying to take down some of these army. He will go ahead and bring some Zealots in from the back, but they're just not able to do enough damage as all of the Stalkers are eliminated, and Select might have the opportunity to stream forth here into EGIncontrol's 3rd base and do some serious damage.
Select just ripping through here with 270 actions per minute, ripping apart that northern expansion. We're seeing EGIncontrol try to regather anything he can to try to help this stay alive, and it looks like, Select will have to lift up and retreat, but the Vikings pick off that single Colossus, and now we're seeing EGIncontrol try to reestablish this expansion, but man, Select just has units pouring out of this base.
Yeah, I mean, a big hit on the economy. 52 Harvesters to Select's 80s right now. The Vikings are coming in. They're going to land behind the Natural right now and continue to do some more damage. Of course, most of the army focused here at the drops from Select in the north, and these Vikings are going to do several they're going to kill several probes here before the Colossus finally comes back and takes him out. However, we have another group of units heading on in, a bunch of Marauders, Marines, and a few Ghosts are going to stim up. Could do some serious damage as well here at the Natural.
Looks like EGIncontrol's trying to warp in some Templar to get Archons. EMP goes down on the Colossus. Select has small armies just trying to pick apart. EGIncontrol at every corner, and now a drop up at the north base. Select has gotten the chance to be aggressive all game long, getting the 3-3 upgrades, getting the Terran ship weapons. EGIncontrol, though, is still managing to hold on for a little bit longer.
And we see this massive man up here from Select in the middle while he is just picking apart EGIncontrol's bases here. The Vikings will land once again, just maximizing the damage. In comes some Vikings from the back, and unfortunately these single Colossus will go down, and good game from EGIncontrol. Select takes game number 1. Now, if you didn't know the results of some of Select's games throughout the weekend, you'd probably look at that game and go, very solid play.
You would think that guy is good at StarCraft too. And honestly, Select played such a by-the-book game. His game plan worked flawlessly. He's going to open up with the early expand and have enough defense to repel any attack. He's going to go for the drops and distract EGIncontrol, and then he's going to take the left side of the map and win with a straight huge push. Let's see what happens in Game 2 right after this.